All right, we're back. Episode 76. We're going to be reacting to the most painful
So
death.
painful deaths here.
Yes, imaginable.
Emmett,
Oh no, I know who Emmett Till is. Should we?
I've never heard of him. I think I've heard about it before.
I think he had like a spear go through his head.
Till. Emmett Till, an African American boy from Chicago, went to Mississippi during the summer of 1955 to visit his great uncle, Moses Wright. Keep in mind that the South at the time was under strict Jim Crow laws, enforcing racial segregation and extreme discrimination against black people. On August 24th, 1955, Till and a group of other black teenagers went to Bryant's Grocery and Meat Market, a small store owned by a white couple, Roy and Carolyn Bryant. Carolyn Bryant later accused Till of whistling at her,
Oh
making
right,
lewd comments
we learned
and
about
possibly touching her hand. Although decades later, she admitted that parts of her testimony were false. On the night of August 28th, her husband, Roy Bryant, and his half-brother, J.W. Milam, armed and enraged, forced their way into Moses Wright's home and Emmett Till at gunpoint. They dragged him out of bed while his terrified relatives
Abducted.
Abducted,
Abducted. It's not
abducted,
that bad. It's not that
abducted
bad of a
him.
word.
watched helplessly. They first took him to a barn where they severely they out one of his eyes.
Wait, whoa.
Helplessly. They first took him to a barn where they severely they out
They beat him, they
one of
gouged out his eyes,
jaw.
they broke his
Cut
jaw,
some of
they
his
knocked
teeth.
out
They
his teeth,
pistoled so
they pistol whipped him.
brutally that his face was unrecognizable. Witnesses said they heard the beating and crying from the barn. They then made him carry a 75-pound cotton gin fan, tied it to his neck
No,
with
that's not the
barbed
guy I was
wire,
thinking
and
of.
shot him in the head with a
Shot him in the head.
.45 caliber Colt pistol. When his body was eventually found, it sparked public outrage, making it one of the most important cases for the civil rights movement. So much so that Rosa Parks cited his murder as part of the reason she refused to give up her bus seat. Despite overwhelming evidence, the jury acquitted Bryant and Malam of murder in just over an hour. Some jurors even claimed
this
they
video is cool enough. I was thinking more like medieval torture devices, right?
Yeah, yeah. That is a pretty painful way to go, though.
Right, but I was thinking like something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Golden Karma. In 74 BCE, Rome sent a consul named
And this relates back to our last episode because this is how this just shows how our life is really not that bad compared to people living in medieval times.
Right.
Aquilius to restore order in Asia Minor. He was successful in his military campaign, but his ambition led him to make a fatal mistake. Aquilius encouraged the king of Bithynia to raid neighboring territories belonging to Mithridates VI of Pontus. This provocation sparked what historians would later call the First Mithridatic War. Mithridates responded with overwhelming force. His army of 100,000 soldiers easily crushed Aquilius' small force of 6,000 men. The Roman general fled to the island of Lesbos, hoping to escape by sea. But local fishermen, who despised Roman rule, recognized him hiding in a coastal village. They dragged him from his hiding place and delivered him bound to Mithridates. The king of Pontus had a special hatred for Aquilius. He blamed the Roman for starting an unnecessary war, and for the Roman tendency to exploit the wealth of conquered territories. Mithridates ordered a public trial, where Aquilius was found guilty of war crimes against the people of Asia Minor. The punishment was as symbolic as it was excruciating. Servants held Aquilius in a seated position before the royal court. A metal funnel was forced between his teeth, pushing his jaw open to its breaking point. Nearby, a cauldron of gold coins melted into liquid metal that glowed bright yellow in the dimly lit chamber. Mithridates approached and spoke directly to Aquilius. "You Romans thirst for gold. Now you shall have your fill." The molten gold, heated to over 1,600 degrees, was poured slowly into Aquilius' mouth. The liquid metal instantly seared his lips, tongue, and throat. It burned through.
Ooh. Guys, I don't think that's what they meant by gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
The soft tissues of his mouth and esophagus, cauterizing blood vessels instantly. The gold filled his throat,
Yeah.
blocking his airway. He could neither breathe nor scream. The molten metal continued its path downward, scorching his internal organs. When it reached his stomach, the gold began to cool and solidify. Aquilius' eyes bulged in agony as his insides were literally cooked by the molten metal. Deacon and martyr of fiery defiance. In 258 CE, Rome was under the rule of Emperor Valerian. who had launched a systematic persecution of Christians. Lawrence was a deacon of the church, responsible for its treasury and charitable distributions. When Pope Sixtus II was captured and game overed, Lawrence became the highest-ranking church official in Rome. Imperial officials summoned Lawrence and demanded he surrender all church treasures. They gave him 3 days to collect the wealth. Lawrence used this time to distribute the valuables among the poor of Rome. On the third day, he presented himself to the prefect with a group of beggars, orphans, and disabled people, declaring, "These are the true treasures of the church." The prefect was enraged by this defiance. He ordered Lawrence to be stripped and bound to a large metal gridiron suspended over glowing coals. The punishment was deliberately designed to be slow, the distance between the coals and the metal carefully measured to ensure Lawrence would not die quickly, but suffer maximum pain. Guards used long poles to lower the gridiron until it hovered just above the red-hot coals. The metal began to heat. At first it felt warm against Lawrence's back and legs. Within minutes the temperature became unbearable. His skin began to blister and adhere to the metal grate. The smell of burning flesh filled the chamber. Lawrence's back and legs cooked against the glowing metal. His fat melted and dripped into the coals below, creating small flames that licked back up toward his body. The pain was beyond comprehension as nerves were exposed and then destroyed by the heat. Yet Lawrence did not scream. After enduring this torment for what witnesses described as an extraordinary length of time, he spoke with remarkable composure. "I'm well done on this side," he said to his executioners. "Turn me over." The guards looked at each other in disbelief. Lawrence's flesh,
That's crazy. That's
began
kind of
to
hard.
charred
What?
black, where it pressed against the metal.
I would not be able to do that.
His organs
That's
cooked.
I would,
His voice grew
That's
weaker
the
as he
hardest thing
spoke
I've
his
ever
last
seen.
words.
No,
Trampling
I'd
of
just be dead. I'd be
Al-Muqtasim.
dead. But
On February 20th, 1258, the last Abbasid Caliph of Baghdad faced a death engineered to satisfy Mongol spiritual beliefs. Al-Mustasim had ruled for 16 years, as the 37th Caliph of a dynasty that stretched back 5 centuries. Now he knelt before Hulagu Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, whose force had just conquered the greatest city in the Islamic world after a 13-day siege. Baghdad had fallen completely. Its libraries burned, scholars slaughtered, and buildings destroyed. The Tigris River ran black with the ink of countless manuscripts and red with the blood of its people. Historical accounts suggest between 200,000 and 1 million residents were killed. Hulagu Khan faced a problem.
so many.
Mongol custom forbade spilling royal blood on the earth, believing it would anger the spirits and bring misfortune. But the Khan was determined to eliminate the caliph. His solution was both practical and excruciating.
Oh no.
Servants wrapped Al-Mustasim in thick carpet rugs, rolling him up tightly, until only his head remained visible. The 52-year-old religious leader was then carried outside the city to a flat plain. Contemporary accounts describe how the caliph wept and begged for mercy as he realized what was about to happen.
No!
Mongol horsemen assembled in formation. At Hulagu's signal, they urged their mounts forward. One by one, each rider guided his horse directly over the bundled caliph. The horse's hooves, each delivering hundreds of pounds of force with each impact, struck the carpet repeatedly. The rugs muffled his screams but could not absorb the crushing force. With each passing horse, the caliph's internal organs ruptured, ribs splintered, puncturing his lungs. His liver tore, kidneys burst, blood vessels in his brain hemorrhaged. Yet the carpet kept all fluids contained, technically satisfying the prohibition against spilling royal blood.
Oh, okay.
Witnesses reported hearing the caliph's muffled screams
okay, it's all fine.
passing.
It's all
The process
no blood.
continued for nearly 20 minutes.
Hands on the
When
ground.
the horsemen finally stopped, servants unwrapped the carpet. Al-Mustasim's body was grotesquely flattened,
Ew!
every bone broken, but not a drop of his blood had touched the earth. The 500-year Abbasid Caliphate ended in that moment. Hanging of Jacques de Molay. On March 18, 1314, the final Grand Master of the Knights Templar faced his death by fire on a small island in the Seine River in Paris. The 70-year-old Templar leader had endured 7 years of very uncomfortable time in French dungeons. King Philip IV of France, deeply in debt to the Templars, had orchestrated their downfall to erase what he owed and seize their vast wealth. At sunset, de Molay was led to a purpose-built platform visible from the banks of the river. Crowds gathered on both shores to witness the spectacle. The king himself watched from Notre Dame Cathedral. De Molay had been forced to confess to heresy and obscene rituals under extreme duress. But on this final day, knowing his fate was sealed, he recanted all confessions. Guards bound him to a large wooden stake using thick iron chains rather than rope. This deliberate choice ensured he could not collapse or move as the flames intensified. Bundles of green wood were stacked around him to shoulder height. Green wood was specifically selected because it burns slower and produces more smoke than dry wood. The executioner used a long torch to ignite the pyre from multiple points. The wood began to smolder before catching flame. This created a dense, choking smoke that enveloped de Molay before any flames reached his flesh. Witnesses reported seeing him cough violently as the acrid smoke filled his lungs. As the fire gained strength, it moved inward toward where he stood. His legs began to blister and blacken first. The heat was intense enough to cause the fat under his skin to boil before the flames even touched him. Contemporary accounts describe how he remained standing, even as his lower extremities charred. The flames climbed higher, igniting his Templar tunic. His beard and hair caught fire while he was still conscious. Remarkably, despite the unbearable agony, De Mole continued speaking. He called out a curse on both King Philip and Pope Clement, summoning them to meet him at God's judgment throne within a year. In an extraordinary coincidence, both men would indeed die within that time frame.
What?
Impaling of Peter Nears.
That
On
was not a
September
coincidence.
16th, 1581, one of
They actually
history's
got
most
cursed.
prolific killers faced justice in Neumarkt in the Holy Roman Empire. Authorities captured the notorious bandit after a decade-long reign of terror across Central Europe. Under very uncomfortable time, Nears confessed to killing 544 people,
Bro.
including 24 unborn children cut from their mother's womb.
Oh,
The magistrate
jeez. That's evil.
This guy's worse than Epstein.
That guy's worse than Epstein. I didn't know that was possible.
ordered a
Is his name Peter Niels?
Okay.
Wave slop. Oh, did it? Oh, wait, no, that's not the right guy. I thought it said Peter Niels. Peter Nears.
Peter Nears.
Nears versus Epstein. Wait, who is this? Thousands!
Oh, okay. So he's like kind of like a Jeffrey Epstein guy, that other Peter guy.
I guess that's not a good name. Well, not one. Peter Nears. Peter Nears.
That's the guy. That's the guy.
Yeah. Occult power. Jeffrey Epstein. Nears is worse in terms of loss of life. He personally killed over 500 people. Epstein is worse in the sheer number of living victims. Epstein is generally not accused personally of murdering his victims. I don't
Did
know.
Epstein actually murder anybody?
Yeah, he has a on the island. There's a little hole that goes into the ocean that he threw the dead bodies in.
Oh.
Well, I mean, they saw the picture of the hole that went into the ocean was on the files. Not necessarily that he threw dead bodies in, but like, why else would you have a hole that went straight to the ocean?
Throwing something in there.
Right. So, but this is to be determined, I suppose. Because that would be the most. Why else would you need that there?
Yeah.
Also, they said that they didn't. All the stuff that came out of the files did not include murders. So there are murders. They just said that, but they didn't. Those ones aren't out. But they said they did not release the murders.
Okay.
So he definitely probably killed more people.
I guess I'd probably have to lean Peter because he actually killed more people, but Jeffrey definitely had like more variety in what he did.
Yeah, and he ruled suicide. This is to be determined though, because like it wasn't just Epstein; it was all of them. So
Yeah.
it's, I guess, more complicated because it's one person. This is the leader of like a big ring.
3
Right.
games designed to inflict maximum suffering while keeping the criminal.
So they're killing him. They're killing him. Good.
Yeah.
On the morning of the first day, Nears was stripped and secured to the breaking.
Oh, not this thing! I hate this thing.
Unlike
Hey,
typical
that-
game overs that lasted hours, his was meticulously planned to extend over 72 hours. The executioner began with heated pincers, systematically removing strips of flesh from Near's arms and legs.
Ew.
The wounds were immediately cauterized with hot oil to prevent blood loss and extend his suffering.
Why didn't we do
Witnesses
this to
reported
Epstein?
that
Why
Near
did he
was
just kill him?
unconscious, his screams echoing through the marketplace as flesh was methodically
Well, I
removed
guess
from his body.
It probably is not a good idea to kill people using these medieval torture devices, because
Yeah, it's not.
then that creates a precedent that they can do that.
Yeah, it's also not very constitutional. So.
An unusual punishment. Yeah.
Began in earnest. The executioner used an iron bar to strike Near's limbs at precise points. Court records document exactly 42 blows. Each strike shattered bones but avoided areas that would cause rapid death. The wheel was designed with gaps that allowed his limbs to bend unnaturally when struck, maximizing pain while keeping vital organs intact.
It's
By the
evil.
third morning, Nears was still alive despite having most major bones broken and significant flesh removed. His breathing was labored, his body a grotesque patchwork of wounds. For the final phase, 4 horses were attached to
No! 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 All right.
Oh my god!
Now,
I see where this is going. I see where this is going.
now you went too far. Anything with the horses and the limbs, just like, all right.
Ah, dude, I know where this is. I can just see. I know
Yeah.
where this is going.
quartering, but for a slow, methodical pulling that gradually increased tension on his joints. The crowd watched in horrified.
Dude, why are they allowed to watch? Get out of here.
First, followed by his
Bro, if I was here, I'd be hiding from this. Like,
Dude, I'd be looking away. I would not be able to watch this.
No, and then they clean it up, and I just pretend it didn't happen. I don't care. Like, he did kill like a lot of people, but I still
if
don't
I
want to see
saw
that.
this back in the day, I would go somewhere else. I wouldn't even like hide from. I would just go somewhere else. I would leave the area.
Yeah, I don't want to see any of that.
Sound of tendons snapping.
Look at all these people here.
Above the noise of the gathered spectators.
Get out of here.
Remarkably, medical observers noted that Nears remained conscious until his right arm separated
Oh,
completely
God.
from his torso. The massive blood loss finally caused his body to shut down. The remaining limbs were then fully
That's
separated
pretty bad.
and his head removed for display on the city gate.
Sure, why not?
Of Frederick Barbarossa. On June 10th,
Drowning sucks.
the Holy Roman Emperor died in a remarkably mundane way while leading the Third Crusade. The 68-year-old ruler was one of medieval Europe's most powerful figures, having reigned for nearly 4 decades. His death would dramatically alter the course of the crusade in European politics. The imperial army had been traveling through Anatolia, in what is now Turkey, enduring scorching summer heat. They approached the Salep River.
He's a soy jack.
After a long march in full armor under the blistering Mediterranean sun,
It's awesome.
Frederick was overheated and
Also
exhausted.
fits.
Contemporary chronicles
Okay.
describe the emperor as flushed and sweating profusely. Against the advice of his guards, Frederick decided to cool off in the river.
Oh.
Some accounts suggest he wanted to demonstrate his vigor to his troops by swimming across. Others claim he merely wanted to bathe. Regardless, the elderly emperor removed his heavy armor and waded into the water. The Salef was running high that summer, fettered by melting snow from the Taurus Mountains. The water temperature was drastically colder than the air, likely below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The moment Frederick entered the frigid water, witnesses reported seeing him gasp from the shock. Medical experts now understand this as cold shock response, which causes involuntary gasping and hyperventilation. The emperor, already fatigued from the march, struggled against the surprisingly strong current. The cold water rapidly sapped his remaining strength. His body temperature plummeted dangerously within minutes. Frederick's guards watched in horror as he began thrashing in the water, unable to maintain his position against the flow. By the time his knights reached him, water had filled his lungs. They dragged his body to the shore and attempted to revive him by turning him onto his stomach to expel the water. Despite their efforts, the combination of cold shock, exhaustion, and drowning had proven fatal. The physicians who examined his body noted signs of hypothermia, blue-tinged lips, pale skin, in addition to water in the lungs.
This one's way better than the last one.
Most disturbing to the Crusaders was
this is like just like the average Titanic victim.
By nature of their leader's death. The man who had faced countless battlefields perished not by enemy action, but by simple drowning. The mighty Barbarossa, scourge of Italy and the Pope's greatest rival, defeated by nothing more than cold water. Erfurt latrine disaster.
What? I mean, it's kind of an embarrassing way to die, but hey, at least
It's embarrassing, but you like, yeah. There's like all the other previous 5 or 6 deaths
Burns are
were
worse.
just were like a million times more painful and worse. So
Also, it was against everybody's advice. Like, yeah, guys, I
yeah,
got this.
so it's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. It's like a cautionary tale kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's not. It's not actually like a super awful, painful way to die.
better than whatever this is. So.
Oh god, I'm not looking forward to this.
84, approximately 60 of the Holy Roman Empire's most powerful nobles died in what became known as the Erfurter Latrinenstürze. The Erfurt latrine collapsed. King Henry VI had summoned high-ranking aristocrats to the Church of St. Peter in Erfurt for an important political assembly. The gathering included counts, dukes, bishops, and royal advisors, the elite of medieval German society. The meeting was held on the second floor of the church annex, a stone structure originally built to house visiting clergy. The room was not designed for such a large gathering. As discussions grew heated, more people crowded into the confined space. The wooden flooring, comprised of oak beams spanning the stone walls, began to creak under their combined weight. Directly beneath this meeting room was something unusual for a church building, a latrine pit. Rather than using
A latrine pit.
I'm guessing that's just like a
Oh,
bunch of poop on the ground.
yeah, it
In a,
is. Thank you for this visual example.
oh god, no, take that away, dude. I can't look at that.
It's
God,
okay.
that's so nasty.
1.8 billion people use it. Still? That's crazy. That's really sad.
Still?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is sad.
Cheapest form of basic sanitation.
Thank goodness I actually have like a toilet I can poop into.
Yeah. Awesome. I don't want to read that anymore.
So, like, what do you do when the pit gets full? Make another one?
You maybe transport it to a sewage facility. There are numerous licensed waste hauling companies. Um, they don't have like vehicles though, right? So how do they get it out? Oh, when the pit is full, the toilet is no longer usable. The time it takes to fill the pit depends on the volume, number of uses. Typically take between 1 and 10 years. At this point, the pit can be covered and abandoned. All right.
Yeah, I guess so.
In like urban areas, they can be emptied by sanitation workers, but over here, oh, that's lovely.
Wow.
system of chamber pots.
Why is it below the church?
Early form of indoor plumbing. The cesspit below collected human waste from a
Okay.
system used by
They're pooping in the church.
Over decades, the pit had filled with decomposing excrement, creating a noxious pool.
Ew, get out of there!
12 feet deep. At approximately 2 in the afternoon, without warning, the overloaded floor gave way. The wooden beam splintered with a tremendous crack. 60 men in full court dress, heavy brocaded fabrics, chains of office, and ceremonial daggers suddenly plunged through the collapsing floor. They fell directly into the cesspit below. The initial killed several instantly as debris crushed their skulls and broke their necks. Most, however, found themselves alive, but submerged in liquefied human excrement.
Ew!
Heavy clothing quickly absorbed the waste, making it impossible to swim or stay afloat. Those who survived the fall began drowning in feces. The narrow opening of the pit prevented easy escape. Many nobles became entangled with others in the confined space.
Oh no.
The more they struggled, the deeper they sank. The weight of bodies continued to press down.
Oh no. Oh no.
Some gasped for air, but only inhaled the noxious.
Oh!
This is described.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
Suffocated.
Oh my god!
Rescuers organized a response. All but a few had perished, drowned in excrement while wearing their finest court attire. Those who were pulled out alive later died from ingesting the toxic. Death of Vlad the Impaler on December. That one sucked. 1476. One of.
Oh, I know this guy. I know this guy.
Did he get impaled?
This guy was in the FB.
Had earned his gruesome by impaling tens of thousands of his enemies on wooden stakes and leaving them to die slowly.
It's not nice.
His reputation for brutality was so extreme that Turkish advance scouts once retreated after encountering a forest of 20,000 impaled.
20, dude! That's so many. He's like a Genghis Khan type guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew this guy was bad. He was in an ERB.
He was in an ERB.
He was in an ERB.
He died at 45 or something.
That's crazy. What was his kill count? Does it say?
At Grok. At Grok. What was Vlad the Impaler kill count? This is the worst way to do it. I could just look it up any other way.
Would have been funny if you said body count.
1.
That's also unironically. That's also probably pretty high.
Yeah, what's it called? Non-consensual.
Yeah.
That's a very big range. Around
So up to
80,000.
100,000 people, and he was only 45.
Yeah,
He was killing thousands and thousands of people a year.
multiple people a day.
That's multiple people a day. It's probably like, depending on like when his rule first started, that's probably like 7 or 8 people a day.
That guy sucks. It's a massive understatement.
Okay, let's go back to the video.
The victims. No battle vary. Lowly Opidal. The 45-year-old prince was in the midst of his third reign over Wallachia. After the years in exile, he had returned with Ottoman backing to reclaim his throne. But Vlad soon betrayed his Turkish supporters, launching raids against their territory. This decision proved fatal. In late December, Ottoman forces advanced on his position near Lake.
Wait, so his death is going to be very
Accounts
painful.
of his final battle vary, but contemporary
Probably
sources
been killed.
several details.
Yeah.
Vlad led a cavalry charge against the much larger Ottoman force. In the chaos of battle, he became separated from his personal guard.
Nice
Ottoman
horse.
soldiers surrounded the prince, who fought with legendary ferocity, swinging his sword in wide arcs that kept his attackers momentarily at bay. The tide turned when his force was speared beneath him. Vlad tumbled to the ground, his ornate armor limiting his mobility. Ottoman soldiers closed in, striking at the fallen prince with curved yataghans. Though he continued fighting, a deep slash to his neck partially severed his head. As he struggled to stand, a final blow completely separated his body. Ottoman commanders ordered the prince's head preserved in honey to prevent decay during the journey to Constantinople. Upon arrival, Sultan Mehmed II, who had a personal hatred for Vlad, had the head impaled on a tall stake outside his
He got
house.
impaled.
This macabre display
He
served
got
as
impaled.
proof of death and poetic justice for a man who had made impalement his signature method of very uncomfortable time. For 3 months, the head remained displayed in the Constantinople sun, becoming unrecognizable as birds picked at the decomposing flesh. The man who had inspired supernatural terror throughout the Balkans ended as nothing more than the rotting remains on the very kind of stake.
Okay, honestly, he got it pretty okay. It was like moderately painful because at first he got it like cut into his neck and then he got his head cut off. If he
Yeah,
got his whole head cut off, it would have been like really easy. It would have been over.
right.
But
He would die pretty much immediately.
I'm well done on this side. Such a cold line. They must have had some really violent video games back then. If video games cause violence. Is that the poop one? Yeah, this one's crazy.
Yeah, that one might be the worst one.
That one.
Like, imagine like falling through the floor and your death literally being drowning in liquid feces.
This one.
Literally.
This one's bad too.
That one's bad.
Oh. Like, he was conscious until like his arm got ripped off and then he eventually lost enough blood. He was conscious through the whole wheel.
There's also the guy who got cooked on the metal grate.
Yeah. Which sucked. But he lived a really long time by like accident. And he's like, well done.
The guards looked at each other in disbelief. Lawrence's flesh had begun to char black, where it pressed against the metal. Smoke rose from his body as organs cooked within. His voice grew weaker as he spoke his last words. Trampling of the...
What was his last words?
It didn't say.
I know his last words. What was his name?
CE. Rome was under the rule of Emperor Valerian. who had launched a systematic charitable highest rent-tracking church store of Rollins, enraged and coldly measured fees. He ordered Lawrence to be stripped and bound to a
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Lawrence of Rome.
Oh. Oh, he's a saint.
Look, wretch, you have all done me on one side, turn me over and eat. I thought that's what he said before. I guess those were his
Yeah.
last words. That's nice. Oh, now my whole page is messed up. Or our piece in a pod page. It's just like death. What? What? Yo.
No, I don't want to
What?
watch. No, I don't want to watch that.
The entire
No,
page is just torture now. Unlocking glowing Buzz Lightyear in Disney Infinity. Would they go?
The judge from Blood Meridian would absolutely go to Epstein's Island.
The Dallas decapitation.
Okay, can we well, we've been recording for like almost 30 minutes now,
Yeah,
probably.
31 minutes.
Okay, we can call it here now.
Oh wow.
If I do this,
Oh boy.
Oh wow. I'm gonna press on this. No! Alright guys, bye.